the Speak, episode 25. People hate when presenters start with lengthy lists of their qualifications and experience.
Do you kick ass when you speak, present, or pitch? If not, these expert discussions and insider tips can help you right now, today. Welcome to the What to Speak podcast. I'm your host, Brian Kelly.
Struggling with feeling comfortable in front of an audience when you present? Or maybe you're confident, but you have difficulty stumbling over filler words like and ah. Well, you can start kicking ass today by signing up for our weekly VIP updates. As a bonus, you'll also receive 11 free tips that will uncover 6 psychological secrets to public speaking, plus 5 tips on how to stop using filler words. Go to whatthespeak.com/VIP. Alexa Fischer, are you ready to answer the proverbial question, what the speak?
What the speak? Yes, I am.
All right, so briefly tell us about yourself and the topics of your online courses that you offer.
Well, I'll go back to when I was a little girl. I was one of those kids who loved people. I was always talking to people, and I found them engaging and interesting and curious. And I translated that love of people into the study of acting. I did it now, I sort of fell into it in high school, and I was, talented in that regard. And then because there's a part of me that's always been a business person, I always enjoy that. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. That when I graduated, I studied acting in both undergraduate and graduate school, and yet I really wanted to be successful almost as a business person in that arena. And if you know any of the myths about the entertainment industry, you realize that it is a very bizarre business. But be that as it may, I found myself living in New York, and I was cast in a play at the Mark Taper Forum in Los Angeles, which is one of the best theaters. It was a remarkable play. We had a phenomenal experience, but I did meet all my agents out here, and they said, "Oh, silly girl, you must come to Los Angeles and work in film and television." And because I was interested in eating, I thought, yes, I should probably, be a little bit more aggressive about having a lucrative career. So one thing led to another, and I found myself working more and more on television, shooting commercials, being guest stars on television. And yet there was a moment that came very specifically one time when I was shooting an episode of Bones, in which all of the waiting on set, and that all I felt that I was devoid of the experience of the love of people that I loved back when I was a child, back when I experienced on stage in front of a live audience. And I said, there has to be something more. So in this moment in Bones, when I was lying on the filthy floor with fake blood coming out of my mouth because I played a lawyer and something bad happened to me, I was like, what have I done with my life? What am I doing? So from that very humble place, I sent a call out to the universe. That's the best way for me to describe it. And very shortly after, a friend of mine called, whom I had met in the entertainment industry, and she was looking for a media trainer. And she just got me. She understood what I was about, felt that I could really excel and be of service to her client. And without thinking, I said, yes, absolutely, sign me up. And that began a process for me. The first class I ever made, one of the divisions of my company, is I feel very passionately about online learning. I think that this is an arena that we're going to see an explosion in connecting with people from around the world, in being able to share your expertise, in being able to share who you are in this almost international sense of giving. That's the perspective that I come from. And for me, because my way of really connecting to what is my methodology? I mean, I have to say, I was thrown into the fire before I knew what I was doing, but I had to translate all of my training as someone who interpreted human behavior and figure out a way to create a methodology. So my first class was Speak Up, Stand Out. And I shot this class for 8 months alone in a room with a little video camera, which nobody shoots on anymore. This is before iPhones, before the types of technology that make it so much easier right now. And if you could see a reel of the outtakes of me just in it, figuring it out. I would do these 8-minute takes, and at the end I would sneeze, and then I would scream because I'd be like, oh my God, I have to do it again. 8 months. But you know that class is still being sold every day. And I've taught thousands of people from that effort. I've met people from all over the world. And it was my training ground to then develop the type of teacher that I am today. So it's been a really interesting, awesome process that continues to unfold and continues to amaze me.
So let's talk a little bit about this particular expertise of public speaking. How did you develop? How did you transition from going from the stage to television to now you're teaching people how to speak publicly?
That's a great question. I think that we're public speaking all the time. I think that a lot of people think that public speaking happens behind a podium or in front of a camera. But the truth is we are speaking in public all the time. So right now, earlier this morning in Los Angeles, I came from a really interesting event that was sponsored by Citibank and Marie Claire, and it was featuring some really phenomenal producers, film producers. And we were having this conversation about empowering women. And from the moment you arrive at an event like that, when you are connecting and you're introducing yourself and you're explaining who you are, what you do, why you're there, you're public speaking. And for me, I watched, and it really was painful to me to see how many people put themselves down and doubt themselves and block their light. My company is called 1,000-Watt Presence because I believe that everybody is born with this light, everybody. And yet somewhere along the way, we block ourselves and we make ourselves feel smaller. And if you have the tools to get out of your own way, to reconnect to that light that you were born with, and then the simple tools to articulate that and express yourself brilliantly to the world, you are happier, you are far more successful, and you are being in service to other people. And that is public speaking. And I believe that if we empower people, especially young people with these skills, there's less fear. It doesn't matter how many electronic tools that we use, and we have on Facebook and we're on LinkedIn. There's nothing that will substitute the exchange of energy person to person. And so I'm on a mission to give people those skills so that they can tap into their brilliance. Everyone has a message to share, everybody. And as someone who was on the inside of the entertainment industry, working with celebrities, some were great, some were really not so great. And when I saw people outside of the industry put these individuals on pedestals, thinking that they're more beautiful, they're more dynamic, they're better than them, it killed me inside because it's not the truth. The truth is everybody is amazing. And when you can unlock that inner superstar, let me tell you, the world unfolds in really beautiful ways.
I agree. I love, this idea of everybody being able to learn how to completely, fully express themselves through speaking publicly. Whether you're speaking to 3 to 5 people at your PTA meeting for your kids, or if you're speaking in front of a boardroom of 20 people,
or you're speaking to children.
Exactly. People think, oh, well, I'm not a professional speaker, so I don't really need to understand, how to convey myself. I'll just get up and kind of wing it. And so I think you're onto something here with being able to teach people how to find that light and to shine it in a way that, is got structure behind it, but opens it up to where they can truly express who they are in a way that's natural.
Right. Because I'll tell you, so many times people have the inkling that they want to step into something bigger, whether it's a big idea that they want to share around a board meeting, or an idea that they want to pitch to their boss, or a way that they want to talk to their own family about how they want to shift careers. There are moments when we think, oh, and then it stops. And we think, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And that doubt, that little seed, all you need to do is break through that. And the breaking through is actually much easier than people realize. And so in the beginning, in the training process, I like to, all my clients have fun. We have fun. We have a good time doing this. People get all scared. I'm not scary. We have a lot of fun. But there's a transition where you get a little awkward with it, but then it becomes who you are, and you'll never go back to that other person who says that I can't. And you start to just expand your bandwidth, what you're capable of, what you believe you're capable of. And so your world becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And when that happens, then suddenly you're at Starbucks, you strike up a conversation with someone, and that individual ends up being the biggest gatekeeper and opens up doors to something that you're like, what? This was so crazy. How did this happen? But it's an intention. So the people, and one of the things that maybe we'll get to today, but talking about who's your ideal student, I know the people that resonate with me. It maybe won't be everybody. Maybe I'm too, positive or whatever for some individuals. But the people that really go, oh my goodness, this woman gets me, they're the ones that have had this secret inside of them that they just have known that they're capable of more. And yet they're just like, what do I need to just have that gentle push, those tools to just really go for it? Those are the people that really that find me.
Excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit about not only the public speaking expertise that you developed, but you touched upon this earlier about web video. And I'd love to hear you explain what's the difference between web video, getting in front of a camera and presenting, versus presenting in front of a public audience. Is there similarities? Is there differences? Can you talk about those?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's an excellent point. I feel like I attend many women, mostly women's, but networking events, and I teach a lot of entrepreneurs in particular. And I feel like I am screaming on the mountaintop, ladies, figure out video, get started, find out these tools, practice, because video is, as I said before, the platform for empowering, educating, and even freeing yourself, even from a business perspective, to really leverage your skills and your talents and your time. Now, in terms of the similarities, and I was just talking about this with someone at this event earlier today, the similarities are very simple. There is an energy that's exchanged when you're public speaking or even when you're speaking on camera. And what I always try to shift the perspective on, most people are self-conscious speaking. They are turning their criticism or their critical eye inward. Am I good enough? Am I prepared enough? Am I going to get sweaty palms? Am I going to lose my thoughts? Me, I, me. And it goes this way. So if you are getting self-conscious, you're right. You are focused on you. Yep. But when you are speaking, whether you're speaking on camera, whether you're speaking in an audience, whether you're meeting someone at a network event, you are in service. It is not about you. It's about the other person. So when you're coming from that place and you believe that there might be some way you can help them, not just for yourself, but asking questions, seeing how you can help somebody, then it's not about you anymore. It is the most liberating thing in the whole world. It is no longer about you. Get over yourself. Be in concert with them. So when I prepare for a speaking engagement, no matter what the audience size, I do my due diligence in preparation. How can I be of service? What type of material that I have that really is seeing the audience where they are? Yep. What piece of it, what lens can I create that is really about them? And then that's the preparation piece. Now, the biggest difference between working on camera and working in a live audience is that there is not that exchange of energy. The practice is connecting with that person on the other side of the lens. And I'll give you an example right now. So, Brian, even though I would like nothing more than for my eyes to look at your eyes on the screen, I'm not doing that right now because I know that you're actually on the other side of this lens. So this whole time I'm talking to you, I'm looking into the camera and not to you. Why? Because guess what? Here's when I'm looking at you. And as you can see right now, suddenly I'm not connecting with the viewer. And we're creating this situation, this conversation, not just for you and I. We're creating it for your community. And your community will feel more connected if I'm looking into the lens, because that means I'm looking at them.
Exactly.
And I think that so often that tiny little shift, and I have something that I prepared, I'll show you how I teach people when they're just starting with web video, is knowing your audience and then just practicing. It's going to feel super weird at first, right? And it just is, so get over it. It'll be weird. But once you practice, And you can start really identifying in a very specific way who that audience person is, that one person that you're talking to, meeting their needs and giving them a little bit of information that you hope that they'll implement. It's a game changer, but it does take practice.
Absolutely. Well, good. I think those are some great insights. A lot of people think that, oh, they're exactly the same, and a lot of people feel very strongly that they're two completely different things. So some very good points that you've made there.
Yeah, it's a dance. I mean, it really is a dance. And I think that, you want, your preparation is what allows you to have fun in the moment. But this idea of being prepared and I think this is one of the trickiest areas in public speaking. There's a lot of different methodologies about preparation. But for me in particular, it is about really understanding the needs of the audience, being prepared with what you want to say, but not being so married to it in terms of a script or a lot of dialogue that you sort of begin and then you're on a train and you're not being responsive.
Right.
Have to create that space for improvisation, for being real. So if something screws up on stage or if something happens in the room, you're there, joking about it. And I think that that's what people connect with because you're a real person. You're not, too polished or too like, I got to get through this. It's more playful.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, Alexa, you ready for the rapid fire Q&A?
Yes, that sounds like fun.
So this is going to be maybe a half dozen questions. We're going to do about 60 seconds each, so keep them quick and short.
Okay.
And the first one I want to ask you is, what is the funniest thing that's ever happened to you when giving a presentation?
Ooh, the funniest thing. Okay, well, this is in my acting days, but in that show that I mentioned at the Mark Taper Forum, all of a sudden in the middle of a really intense scene, all the house lights went up. So 1,000 people just got lit and everyone was like, ugh, and you break that imaginary wall. I was doing the show with John Spencer, who's a wonderful actor who has passed away. He was amazing. And he immediately took it upon himself to just turn everything right around and say, guess what? That's the most amazing thing about live audience. This live experience we're having right now, it'll never be duplicated again. And he just took over and said, house lights down. We're going to go back to this, this beat here. And just like boop, 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 boop. And we were back in the play. And I thought, wow, that's exactly the way to handle it like a pro. It was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what's your go-to presentation resource or tool? It could be anything.
Are we talking about a live presentation or a video presentation?
Since you're an expert in both, I'll give you either one.
My go-to tool, I'll tell you, if I am out and about, I shoot all of my videos that I shoot on a regular basis and all my online classes, I shoot in a production studio. But many times I'm either on location or I just want to be spontaneous. My go-to tool is my iPad mini. I will tell you, this little baby that I mount on a tripod with a very simple case. I love this thing. High def. You get to be able to film yourself. It's got great enough quality that I love it. And I don't know if you can see this, but with my clients, I put a little Post-it note right around the lens. Because I said, that's where the magic happens, my friends. Don't at your hair in the viewer. That's going to look weird. You want to remember to connect with that viewer. So I make them put a little Post-it with a hole where the lens is.
That's great.
That's my favorite tool on the go.
Okay. So the next question is, what's a useful tip or trick other than putting a smiley face by your camera lens that you've learned or utilized?
I get a lot of pushback from my clients who really want to script everything out. And I say that the minute you script something, you're boring. I'm sorry. If you need to process your thoughts by scripting everything out in advance, awesome. Script it out and then throw it in the shredder. What I do is something I call thought bubbles. As people, when we're telling a great story, what happens is we're visualizing moments and then we're connecting those thoughts, one bubble to the next bubble to the next bubble. This is how we tell stories. Great presentations. Even if you're making a point that is more, what you think is not a story, although everything is a great story. I tell people to prepare their material in terms of thought bubbles. And then you're just practicing the points. So you can visualize them as bullet points, but they're really bubbles. They're bubbles that come with images that you're so connected to, and you prepare those. And then in the moment, your mind, while you were speaking, will make the bridge, will create the bridge thought, which are transitions. Those are the most compelling. I guarantee you. And a lot of times people they want to hold on to their script, but the minute you start looking down, you disconnect from your audience. You do. And you sound not genuine.
Yeah.
People would rather have messy and real.
Great. Okay, so let's say you are getting ready to give a presentation next week. How do you, Alexa Fischer, prepare and plan for what that talk is going to be?
I ask a lot of questions and I do a lot of listening. I think that, if you are giving speeches or presentations on a regular basis, there is a spectrum of topics that if anybody's coming to me wanting me to speak to their board or their group or, train their employees, they know a little bit of what I'm about. So I'll have maybe 5 different topics where I could dive deep, but I do not come and say, well, this is my turnkey, like this is my speech. No, I'll take all the due diligence in the world to really listen and ask a lot of questions. Then I will process that information and I will tweak my idea of what I want to talk about. And then I will work with whoever my contact is to really dial it in and fine tune it. And that has always been my success method. And if you don't have the adequate time to prepare for something like that, you can wing it. But the best presentations are always the ones that are truly tailored to the audience.
Great. Okay, so now I'd love to hear from you. While you teach people how to speak, what impact has speaking had on your business? So getting up in front of audiences to share your passion, how has this had an impact on what you do today in your business?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. It's twofold. I have found and met some of the most extraordinary people because I put myself out there in a different capacity. When you're working as a professional actress, while people may think it's a glamorous profession, you are literally going into dark studios. You're surrounded. You're in a little box. And when you are an entrepreneur, any type of entrepreneur, you're putting yourself out there and meeting all kinds of phenomenal people. They can be CEOs of organizations, and I've worked with billion-dollar companies, but they're also, I do volunteer events, and I've worked a couple of times with this group of homeless women, and they're extraordinary. And I feel humbled and honored to work with them. On the flip side, because I built a part of my business in the power of helping people that I will likely never meet in person, you cannot imagine the gratitude to get feedback from someone that lives in India or China or Bangladesh or Norway or all of the students that I now have around the world, to know that something that I've shared with them, and they may never have been a paid client, maybe there's somebody who follows my weekly video newsletter, but they have made an impact. And I never tire of it. I just think, this is crazy. Here I am in my little world with my little, I don't have an extensive team, but you see the impact, and it gets me to dream bigger and understand that we have, as communicators, as content providers, as thought leaders, we have an obligation to work harder, dream bigger. And I'm embarking on a very exciting project, which is empowering teens, called Surefire Girls. And it's phenomenal. And this is really where I believe my legacy work would be to take these skills and bring it to generations of young girls around the world.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to end on our final question, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given, or what's the advice that you wish somebody would have given you? And then let us know where we can connect with you online.
Okay. I would say that no matter where you are in your career, and no matter when you start out, this idea of not taking things personally is tremendous. I do believe that everybody is born with all of the gifts that they will ever need and all the challenges that they're meant to experience so that they learn and grow. But when we remove the barrier of taking things personally, meaning that introspection or the inner critic inside our head that is tearing us down, that learning how to not take things personally gives you more energy, gives you freedom to fly, gives you freedom to play, gives you freedom to show up without shutting yourself down before you even open your mouth. And to me, I think that the individuals who inspired me along the way, who gave me tools and said, just go for it. That's the piece of advice that I think has really fueled me, where it gave me that thing to say, oh, come on, why not? Let's just go for it. And it's that energy that ironically people are attracted to, that exude, you can call it success or confidence, but it just gives you more flexibility. And honestly, I have been rejected because of my background in the entertainment industry. I've been rejected more than anyone I've ever met, probably combined. And I think that was an unbelievable gift in the sense of not taking things personally. Because once you're not afraid of the rejection, and everyone gets rejected all the time, and not just in the entertainment business, you don't care, and you don't waste any energy, losing energy. You just get to bounce back, keep going, sharing your light.
I like it.
Yay!
All right. So where online can we reach you? Is it a website, Twitter? Where are the best places to connect?
Yes, my website is my name, alexafischer.com, and it's FISCHER. My company is called 1000 Watt Presence. You can find 1000 Watt Presence on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at 1000 Watt Alexa. And I'm also a featured instructor on udemy.com, and that's udemy.com. And I am about to roll out a very, very comprehensive online course called 1000 Watt Presence, and another amazing course, which is how to overcome the fear of public speaking, which is a really great one. I'm teaming up with a phenomenal psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Daphna Slonim. So using energy psychology techniques to really release that fear, which does block people from being able to shine.
All right, Alexa. Well, it's been fantastic having your 1000 Watt Presence on the show today. So thanks so much.
Thank you. And I would love to also throw out there that I do have a weekly video blog. And if you sign up for my newsletter, I do have an online video course called Public Speaking 101 that is yours as a gift.
Great. Well, thank you again, Alexa.
My pleasure.
Did you know that you have the option to watch What to Speak episodes or listen to What to Speak episodes through iTunes? You pick what's most convenient for you. Simply go to whattospeak.com/video or whattospeak.com/audio to subscribe today.
All right, here we go with the outro.
Thanks so much for joining us today on What to Speak. Be sure to visit whattospeak.com for show notes on every episode and to sign up for our email list to stay updated on resources that'll help you kick ass when you speak, present, or pitch.